So, you know how Amazon Bedrock makes it incredibly easy to jump into building with generative AI? Well, that convenience is awesome, but it can hide a pretty complex and potentially very, very expensive pricing structure. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain. We'll break down the pricing models and give you a clear strategy to navigate all these costs so you can avoid any of those nasty, expensive surprises.
All right, here's the game plan. We'll start with those hidden costs that can really catch you off guard. Then, we'll dive into your first big decision. Do you pay as you go, or do you reserve your power? After that, we'll get into the fun stuff, model customization, and expose the true price of performance. We'll even build a sample bill from scratch. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a smart strategy to keep your budget right where it needs to be. First up, let's talk about that easy start. Bedrock is fantastic for getting a project up and running fast, but that very simplicity can hide a major pitfall: that shocking, unexpected bill at the end of the month.
And this, right here, is the question that probably keeps a lot of engineering managers up at night. It's something we call AI bill shock, and it's what happens when a project that seemed totally affordable in testing suddenly explodes in cost once it goes live.
This quote from Caitlin just hits the nail on the head. The ease of getting started with Bedrock is a huge plus, but it masks this layered pricing model that you absolutely have to understand before you decide to scale up.
So, how do you get a handle on these costs? Well, it all starts with the most fundamental choice you're going to make on the platform, a decision that will have the single biggest impact on your bill right from the get-go.
Bedrock basically gives you two main options, and the easiest way to think about it is the whole taxi versus a leased car idea. On demand is your taxi. You hail it when you need it, you pay for exactly what you use, and that's it. It's perfect for development or for traffic that's all over the place. Provision throughput, on the other hand, that's like leasing a car. You commit to it for a set period, you pay a fixed rate, and it becomes way, way cheaper if you have consistent, heavy use, what we call inference, which is just the day-to-day running of the model.
And wow, this chart just drives the point home. Just look at these numbers for running Amazon's Titan Text Lite model 24/7 for a month. With zero commitment, you're looking at over $5,000. But if you commit for 6 months, that cost plummets to under $3,700. That's a saving of nearly 30%. For a predictable workload, that is a huge deal. Okay, so that's the first big choice. But what happens when the standard off-the-shelf models just aren't cutting it? When you need something that's truly specialized for your unique tasks. This is where fine-tuning comes into play. Now, it's not about teaching a model a whole new subject from scratch. Think of it more like taking a brilliant general-purpose model and honing it with your own data to make it a true expert in one specific skill, like, say, classifying your company's support tickets or perfectly capturing your brand's unique voice.
And there's another clever strategy here called model distillation. What you do is use a big, powerful, and expensive teacher model to create a really high-quality data set. Then you use that perfect data to train up a smaller, much cheaper student model. It's a bit of an upfront investment, but it can seriously slash your running costs over time.
So when should you really think about fine-tuning? Well, it's perfect for refining a skill. A great rule of thumb is, if you're already getting good results just by giving the model a few examples in your prompt, fine-tuning will probably work wonders. But, and this is a big one, there's a crucial catch. It is non-negotiable. Once you fine-tune a model, you cannot run it on that flexible on-demand plan anymore. You are locked into using provisioned throughput.
And that little rule brings us right to the heart of the matter, the real price of performance. Because when you create a custom model, the cost actually comes from three very different places.
Now, most people just assume the biggest cost is going to be the training itself. But that, my friends, is where the big surprise is hiding. Let's break this down. First up, the actual training. Using a real example from Caitlin, training an Amazon Titan model on a massive data set, we're talking 60 million tokens, costs just $480, a one-time fee. That seems incredibly cheap, right?
Okay, so what about storing it? That's got to be expensive, right? Nope. It costs less than $2 a month to keep that custom model ready to go. So far, this whole thing looks like an absolute bargain.
And here's the punchline. The cost to actually run that model using provision throughput 24/7 can be nearly $15,000 a month. That training cost, it is a drop in the bucket. The inference, the day-to-day usage, that is where the real expense is.
Okay, let's make this even more real by building out a sample monthly bill. We'll use a fictional company. Let's call them Skyline Analytics.
So, Skyline starts with a customer service chatbot. It's running on an on-demand model, handles about 100,000 queries a day, and the total cost for this piece? A very manageable $200 a month.
Next, they add a batch job that runs overnight, summarizing support calls. Since it's a batch job, they get a nice little discount. This adds about another $153, bringing their total to just over $350 a month. Still, very reasonable. But then they add their secret sauce, that high-performance, fine-tuned model that's running all the time. And even with a 6-month commitment discount, this one component adds over $10,000 to the bill. Their total monthly cost just shot up to over 11 grand.
I mean, this chart just says it all, doesn't it? Look at that breakdown. The chatbot and the batch jobs are just tiny little slivers. Nearly 97% of their entire monthly bill comes from one single thing, running that custom, fine-tuned model.
So after seeing all that, how in the world do you build a smart, cost-effective AI strategy on Bedrock without getting burned? Let's boil it all down to the key takeaways.
First things first, match your pricing model to your workload. On-demand for experiments, provision for production. Always remember, with custom models, the real cost isn't in the building, it's in the running. You have to break your solution down piece by piece, just like we did with Skyline, so you can forecast your costs. And hey, if you're using provision throughput, commit to those longer terms. You'll save a ton. Ultimately, solid planning and constant monitoring are your best friends in avoiding that dreaded bill shock.
Which leaves us with one final, really important question. Sure, that custom model might cost you $10,000 a month, but what if it provides a unique capability that completely transforms your business? It could be the best money you've ever spent. Now that you understand the true cost, you get to decide what that performance is really worth.